Hello and welcome everybody, and this is going to be a little bit different. I'm just going to kind of talk about a movie that I just seen in theaters not too long ago in an attempt to maybe start some other kind of rambling series. And that movie would happen to be The Cocaine Bear. And honestly, this was a movie that I really wasn't expecting much out of. I went to go see it with my girlfriend and my best friend as well. And when I went to the theaters, I wasn't expecting a whole lot out of it. I figured it'd be kind of like one of those B movies, you know, Frankenhooker or Mutant Beaver Zombies, Sharknado, just something very off the cuff, something that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm a man who enjoys terrible movies. I've seen Chud 2 or Chud the Bud, which if you know what the movie Chud is, and then you go watch the second one, it is something so extremely disappointing, but at the same time so utterly terrible that you can't manage to not laugh at it, at least with a friend. But with Cocaine Bear, I gotta say, it was actually a pretty wild ride, alright? It was one of those B movies, or quote-unquote Z movie, that actually had something going for it. Not only was it a story about a cocaine bear, which is based in reality, as a bear really did catch onto some cocaine out in the forest, and while he did die within a matter of minutes, I believe, this bear does not, alright? He swallows kilo after kilo after kilo of cocaine, and along and all around this entire story, you are greeted to a bunch of different plot lines. We're greeted to these two kids who have just skipped school to go out to the woods and just have a good time. Greeted to this gaggle of teenagers that are also out in the woods, just kind of attacking anybody who comes near. Another big point of all this is where the cocaine actually came from, is a group of drug dealers who are kind of leaving these pieces out in the wild for a drop, for another gang of drug dealers to come pick up, and when the bear finds it, utter havoc reaches the entirety of the forest. Ray Liotta is surprisingly featured in this movie. I believe it is his very last movie before he sadly died. Ray Liotta is somebody that I look forward to a lot in movies, as when I first seen Wise Guys, it completely blew my mind, and to see him in such a franchise and such a story really was kind of just wild. Alright, we get to see Ray Liotta trying to hunt down his drugs. This bear is just one by one killing all these different people, and overall the movie was just a lot of fun and something that I think I could honestly recommend to go see in theaters with your buddies. I think it's highly worth it if you at least bring along some friends. Basically every character in this is very interesting. I gotta say the one that I found the most interesting was one of the teenagers from the group that has been attacking everybody on the woods, kind of robbing them and buying drugs and things like that, and taking over people and just literally attacking them out of nowhere, waiting in the bathrooms to kind of stab them or take whatever's in their pockets. This one manages to be probably the funniest character in all of it. He comes across as such a sweetheart throughout the whole movie, while he has also been doing such wrong deeds that it just kind of contradicts itself. But at the same time, one of the drug dealers that is out in the woods trying to get his bounty back, a man who doesn't want to be any part of this. His dad is actually Ray Liotta in the movie, and he's slowly trying to work his way out of this business as he's had a child, and throughout the movie he's just kind of bawling his eyes out that his wife has just recently died. His dad doesn't really care. He just wants him to get over it and get back into the family business, and he kind of has a heart-on-heart with one of these awful teenagers, you know, either kind of talking about their lives, the teenager's giving him kind of some life advice, while the drug dealer's friend, the other drug dealer, is just kind of having none of this, alright? He just wants to get the dope. He knows that they need to obtain this before they are taken out by the other cartel or the other gang of drug dealers, whatever it was, I can't quite remember. Managed to be one of the funniest part of this movie. This movie also features the young boy from the show Sweet Tooth, that is actually based on the Jeff Lemire comic book Sweet Tooth, something that I have yet to read, but I have seen the show and it is very good, and his performance in the whole thing was also very funny. Now I'm going to start getting into some spoilers, just one or two, and if you don't want to hear any of those, thank you so much for watching. I would recommend this movie, like I said, and I will see you guys on the next video. But spoilers from here on out, how they actually find this cocaine bear is these two children kind of ditch school. This little girl wants to go paint the waterfall, and her mom just wants her to come away for the weekend to meet her new boyfriend, and she wants none of this. So she grabs her friend, they leave school, they go out to the forest to go paint the waterfall, and when they're kind of walking through the woods, just kind of walking through all these different bushes, they come across a big old package of cocaine. Now both of these kids are portrayed to be like 11 or 12 years old, and their whole dynamic is honestly pretty hilarious. And when they find this, the boy just kind of starts going off about how he's definitely done cocaine before with the church administrator after service. And while the girl doesn't believe it, she tells him, go ahead, show me how it's done. And when you think, you know, they might just bust open this package and these children doing this thing, as absurd as it is, you would think they would just kind of do the tiniest little bump. But no, this kid cuts the package open with a knife and he takes a full ass scoop. And right when you think he's about to snort it, he chucks the entire pile of coke in his mouth and he just kind of yells, what the fuck? He can't handle this. And when he's just kind of going off, the little girl decides to also try this. And she does the same thing. They have no idea about how this drug works, and they obviously have no idea about the taste. And with these two coke-fueled children, they are just kind of walking around being silly and goofy, just walking all weird and such. They never really hear a noise coming out of the woods, and it is the cocaine bear himself. And now this thing is such a menace. I gotta say, this whole movie remains to be very gory. It's not gory out through the entire thing, as all the different plot lines are kind of diverging, and I wouldn't say it's not till about 15 to 20 minutes in until you actually get to meet this cocaine bear. And with this arrival, the bear, he chases the girl through the woods, and the boy inevitably just kind of climbs up a tree. Now this leads to a whole bunch of different hilarious moments as the little girl's mom is kind of trying to track her down. She knows that she went to the waterfalls, as she knows she's kind of angered her child, forcing her to give up her whole weekend to meet her mom. Now some of the other funny characters would have to be the park ranger, who's just kind of waiting for the wildlife inspector to come through. She's wearing different kinds of perfume and she's like trying to smoke, and she's very anxious as she wants to sleep with this man. And when the man actually comes and she's in her little office area, the mom walks up as well, and the park ranger could not be more furious about this. She wants to end their little day with a park inspector at a sunset, hopefully getting her the goods that she wants. And this is just not the case, as the mom basically forces her way into coming with this walk with them. Now the park inspector is a very nice man. He absolutely loves the forest, alright? He even takes complaint on calling the animals animals. I forget what he wants to call them, but he is very much a hippity-dippity guy, and I very much enjoyed his part as well. And as they go out in the forest, they actually find the young boy way up in a tree, and the mom is very concerned that this means very bad things for her daughter. I believe one of the first death scenes is they're kind of screaming at this little boy up in the tree. He doesn't want to come down. He's trying to warn them about this ginormous bear that is just rampaging, and they're basically all just kind of blaming this kid that he must have done something to have a bear come out and just attack him outright like this, as bears, I guess, apparently don't really tend to do this. And when the bear actually comes behind them, the park inspector also climbs a tree, while the park ranger and the mom just kind of go and hide in the bushes. And as he's climbing this tree, the bear comes. He's climbing the tree that the little boy is on, until inevitably he notices that the man in the other tree, the park inspector, has actually walked through a couple of these bushes full of just cocaine powder, and the bear can smell this, and he immediately jumps down, runs to the other tree, climbs up, and just starts beginning to eat this man's knee within the tree. Now this has some very gory scenes, some things that are very hard to watch. Ray Liotta's death scene, which I've already said spoilers, so if you're along this far, it's your fault. But basically a bunch of bear cubs and this bear kind of force Ray Liotta up against a cave wall, and the bear slashes his stomach open, his innards are falling out, and these two little cubs are just kind of playing with him. They're just pulling him out of his body, and he eventually does get a quicker death before these like 10 or 15 seconds of utter pain. This movie just has some very grotesque moments, alright? You get to see some faces grinding against asphalt as this ambulance is just trying to run away from this cocaine bear. He's so coke fueled that he's actually reaching the same speeds as the ambulance, and when they actually hit the brakes to avoid this thing, a person in a gurney just goes flying upside down against the road. And yeah, that's Cocaine Bear, alright? There's a whole lot more going on with this. There's no way I could have explained the entire thing. This is the first time I've ever tried to kind of review a movie, and I don't even know if it's going to be that. It's more of a rambling thing, but hopefully this is a little bit enjoyable. And if you guys were wondering how this movie actually is, I think it's very much worth your money. Like I said, if you can bring friends, it's going to be an absolute blast. If you have to see it by yourself, I don't know, it might not be as good. I know I had a blast, but I also had two people accompanying me, laughing at everything and kind of talking amongst ourselves about all the wacky cocaine-fueled bear shenanigans that are going on. And overall, I think I'd have to give this movie an 8 out of 10, at least for comedy-wise, at least for something that is so interesting. A bear fueled on pure cocaine, such a concept. And obviously this movie was going to sell with a title like that. I've just seen non-stop commercials for this thing, and it appears to be doing decently well. So yes, everybody, Cocaine Bear, go see it if you're available. if you can afford it. It's a very fun movie. And bring your friends. That is an absolutely crucial part. But anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. If you'd like to maybe see me talk a little bit more about other movies. I was thinking about doing these for maybe some older sci-fi and horror tales and things like that in the movie industry, rather than the new ones, because I don't know how copyright exactly works if you kind of explain away an entire movie, but who knows, but yes, talk to me down in the comments, and thank you guys so much for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I will see you on the next episode of From the Heart. Go see Cocaine Bear.